Despite his dominating stage presence and boundary-breaking voice, controversy and grief were hiding in plain sight. The astonishing hardships and surprising turns that created Freddie Mercury's eternal legacy and revolutionized the world were exposed in peeks inside his private life. How about hobbies? It's not over yet. Lots of sex for me. When you hear the most dramatic lead singer in rock music, have you ever wanted to know what mysteries lie beneath his surface? The world was enchanted by Freddie Mercury's unparalleled singing voice and fearless theatrical presence. However, beneath all the glitz and glamour, there is a great deal more. From an unforeseen upbringing in Zanzibar to rumors of rocky recording sessions with Michael Jackson, Freddie's life was a patchwork of success, tragedy, controversy, and an unyielding will. Fasten your seatbelts because you're about to go on a ride that will show you the real Freddie, the man behind the fame, and the hardships that made him who he is today. Resuming the topic at hand, in your opinion, is it merely coincidental that rock is exposing politicians' failures at the same time that sentiments like, "We've got to construct this world together," appear on the show? What kind of ridiculous question is that, my darling? It is up to you to respond to it. On stage, he was regarded as flashy, wild, and courageous. The early days of Freddie Mercury, nevertheless, were shockingly humble. The traditional upbringing of Farrokh Bulsara, who was born on the Tanzanian island of Zanzibar, did little to prepare him for the life of a wild showman. His upbringing by strict Zoroastrian parents gave him a sense of duty that ran counter to his carefree existence as a rock star. He became an unstoppable creative force thanks to his early exposure to Western music, local influences, and his restless imagination while boarding school in India. The Hectics, an amateur band he formed there, gave him his first taste of the excitement of live performance. The adrenaline surge of the stage was already in his mouth, even if it was only a school assembly. But that wasn't all. His family's relocation to England in the early 1960s, in response to political turmoil in Zanzibar, threw him into an unfamiliar environment. Exciting and difficult, the London music scene was a real rollercoaster ride. This quiet, bashful teenager will soon change the face of rock music, but no one noticed him back then. In order to make ends meet, he took up odd jobs: airport baggage porter, market stall worker, while absorbing every bit of the era's revolutionary energy. Still, he was striking in some way. His unassuming self-assurance stood out even in his early days, giving the impression that his life had a purpose beyond the typical 9-to-5. Freddie took a while to agree. Indeed, he encountered persistent skepticism upon joining Smile, a band that included Brian May and Roger Taylor. Some people were surprised that they wanted to refer to their new group as Queen. It was considered provocative and overly daring by some. Freddie was adamant that being fearless was the key. He was quite good at coming up with new ideas. In fact, he fused the zodiac signs of the band members to create their now iconic logo. It served as a symbol of their diverse group's solidarity, getting their music heard amidst the sea of competing British rock bands. Executives in the music industry were perplexed by Queen in the early 1970s due to their unusual combination of hard rock, layered harmonies, and Freddie Mercury's incredible stage presence. Their operatic rock with dramatic flair didn't fit neatly into any one genre. The record industry's refusal to embrace these four idealists served to inspire Freddie's defiant creativity. No one could make him conform. He had an ambitious plan, a rumble of thunderous guitars and operatic-sounding vocals, as well as performances that seemed to combine elements of both cabaret and rock rebellion. Their self-titled first album was well received but failed to become a global phenomenon. From there was a steady ascent with each new album, up to the monumental turning point that was Bohemian Rhapsody. Critics mocked the 6-minute rock opera extravaganza at its debut, because it lacked a clear chorus. For mainstream radio, it was just too bizarre. But Freddie's bet paid out handsomely as Bohemian Rhapsody shot to fame. Queen had gone from being a funny band fronted by a theatrical actor to something much more. They represented rock's promising future and brought attention to Freddie's underappreciated brilliance. The wild parties, rumors, band tensions, and glimpses of private struggles that came with celebrity were not without their share of challenges. The disputes were only starting. A hallmark of Freddie's work were his transformations. He led Queen through risky eras, beginning in the mid-1970s, when they defied attempts to categorize them by writing songs that blended gospel, disco, funk, and plain old rock ballads. If you haven't done any interviews recently, why is that? Why? Because they are something I despise. I despise conversing with strangers. Since I am reserved around some people, they have no idea who I truly am. I honestly doubt that anyone else will either. Are you incredibly wealthy? I have a fortune. Is it fun for you to be wealthy? Sure thing. Let me tell you about your... I love to show it off. After you earn money, how do you spend it? This is how I use it. Will rock you is one moment and another one bites the dust is the next. They alternate between hard-driving anthems and dance-infused tracks. The band's hidden weapon was the unpredictability of their sound, which kept fans on the edge of their seats. On occasion, though, the plot unfolded apart from the music. Backstage tensions were simmering behind the band's glittery on-stage connection. Rumor has it that arguments over creative direction occasionally rocked the group's foundation, although no one walked away outright. Freddie's insatiable need to experiment with new sounds often caused friction with his bandmates' natural leanings towards rock, as seen in the contentious inclusion of dance beats on Hot Space. The album's shift away from heavy rock was a major point of criticism. However, Freddie prioritized challenging norms over making everyone happy. He reveled in the prospect of disappointing some followers in order to forge on and do his own thing. Private projects, such as sessions with other music greats, continued this carefree spirit. Michael Jackson was allegedly involved in a very public brawl in the early 1980s. Icons began collaborating on possible duets after realizing each other's genius. However, cooperation stalled. Rumors circulated that Freddie was addicted to cocaine. Jackson, the Great. He lost patience with Mercury's irrational behavior. He took pleasure in his discipline and despised recreational drugs while in the studio. It was the last straw, according to some. Years passed with the songs they started, but never finished, leading many to wonder how crazy those sessions had been. That, however, was not all. In the shadows of Freddie's public persona, a darker tempest was gathering. It would expose his frailties and turn him into an advocate for a cause broader than rock music. Through his interviews, I was able to glean details about our relationship, much to the dismay of Express reporter David Wigg. Naturally, Freddie was widely believed to be gay, and few were aware of his profound love for Mary Austin. It began as a romantic relationship, but it blossomed into something more, like a brother and sister bond. Freddie Mercury was usually private offstage, yet he could be quite the social butterfly at times. The intricacy of his romantic life mirrored that. It took a while for others to catch on that Mary Austin, the woman he had previously referred to as his common-law wife, was still an important part of his life after he came out as bisexual. By the late 1960s, they had become close, with a trusting and mutually respectful relationship having developed between them. It was a long time before I truly fell for this man. But once I did, I couldn't stop thinking about him. I felt the anguish he felt. When he was happy, I was happy too. I believe the one person he truly loved in this world, Mary, was the only one with whom he felt completely at ease. Looking inside, I almost saw another person. The sight I beheld was an exquisite treasury of splendor. Additionally, I believe he subjected many million individuals to that in the open air as well. Because of this, I believe the supporters stay in touch with our emotions. They notice the allure, the enjoyment, and every facet of. They also discovered love, plus Freddie's awful. Their love connection evolved as Freddie came to terms with the fact that his attraction was bisexual. However, their emotional connection stayed strong. Mary took care of business, protected his secrets, and fulfilled his last requests in a way that his admirers never understood. Irish hairstylist Jim Hutton was more of Freddie's rock in the 1980s, when he was in a committed relationship with him, than anybody outside of their inner circle knew. Behind the scenes, Freddie enjoyed domestic tranquility with Jim, as he wowed the world with arena-shaking performances. The contrast between Freddie's outward image and his inner need for quiet company highlighted the paradox of his existence. The constant ups and downs of traveling, partying, and dealing with the expectations of worldwide celebrity didn't stop him from hiding his troubles, which included an increase in substance usage. The cocaine-fueled late-night parties were a staple of this hedonistic way of life. In private, his colleagues and fellow musicians remembered his unpredictable nature. Alternating